The giant woman clamps her hand around the mayor's wrist, her fingers like vice grips forged in hellfire, and drags him toward the saloon's swinging doors. Dust swirls in the midday sun, blasting through the slats, turning the air thick and golden. The mayor stumbles, his boots scraping the wooden floor, face twisted in terror. At her feet the burlap sack heaves, slow, ragged breaths pushing against the coarse fabric, a muffled groan escaping the tied top. Elias Crowe crouches behind the bar, heart hammering like a steam engine, his Colt heavy in his grip. He doesn't breathe, doesn't blink. She's taller than any man in Dust Creek, 7 feet if an inch, broad-shouldered, her duster coat flapping like raven wings. Her face is scarred, one eye milky white, the other burning black. He knows that face. God help him, he knows it. "Sign it," she growls, voice like gravel under wagon wheels. She slams a yellow deed onto the bar, the mayor's hand forced flat beside it, inkwell tips spilling black across the wood. The mayor whimpers. "Please, my wife." The sack twitches, a wet cough inside. Elias's stomach knots. That's Clara in there, bound, alive, for now. The giant woman, Mara the Tower, kicked in the doors minutes ago, sack slung over her shoulder, demanded the town's water rights, the deed to the spring that keeps Dust Creek alive. Said the mayor stole it from her kin. Elias remembers, fire, screams, the mayor's posse. He was there, young deputy, too scared to act. Elias rises, barrel aimed. "Let him go, Mara." Her head snaps toward him, black eye narrowing. A grin splits her scarred lips. "Elias, been waitin'." He steps out, boots creaking. Shame floods him. He left her for dead that night, his almost sister, adopted by his family before the raid tore them apart. She survived, became this. His fault. Mara's threat is clear. She'll kill Clara, the mayor, everyone, unless she gets the spring. Loneliness grips Elias. Sheriff now, but alone, trust broken. "You don't have to do this," he says, voice low. "I'm sorry," unspoken. She laughs, bitter. "Too late, brother." Brother stings. They weren't blood, but close. Loneliness cuts deeper. Mara shoves the mayor aside, hand dipping to her holster. Elias fires. Crack. Splintering wood by her head. She lunges, massive frame barreling forward. He dodges, table crashing. Her punch grazes his shoulder, pain flaring. He swings a chair, crack against her arm. She grunts, doesn't fall. They circle, panting. Sweat stings his eyes, dust chokes. The sack breathes, faint. Mara holsters her gun. Midnight at the spring. Bring the deed or she dies. She hefts the sack, Clara moaning, and backs out, gone into the sun. Elias stands, chest heaving. The mayor grabs his arm. "You know her?" He nods, throat tight. Shame burns. Betrayed her, left her in flames. Now she's back, vengeance alive. He holsters his Colt. Midnight, hours to go. He rides to the old homestead, ruins charred from that night. Wind whispers through beams. He dismounts, knees weak. Loneliness hits, no one to trust. A glint, her locket, his gift. He pockets it. Was she alone all these years like him? In town, he corners the mayor. "Truth," Elias says, leaning close. Mayor sweats. "Her family squatted the spring. We removed them." "Killed," Elias corrects, "and I helped, unsaid." "Give her the deed?" Mayor asks. "No," Mara wants more. Action looms. Night falls. Elias arms up, rifle, rounds. At the spring, moonlit, Mara waits, sack breathing beside her. "Deed." He tosses it. She catches, grins. "Fool!" She draws. Bang! Elias dives, bullet grazing his hat. He fires, hits her shoulder. She roars, charges. They grapple, water splashing. Clara's cry cuts through. She's free, knife in hand, slashing the sack. Clara's knife flashes in the moonlight, slicing through the last threads of the burlap sack as she crawls free, gasping, her dress torn, face bruised but fierce. Elias, soaked to the bone in the spring's icy water, lunges to shield her, but Mara's faster. Her massive hand grabs Clara's wrist, twisting until the knife clatters into the mud. Elias tackles Mara, their bodies crashing into the shallows, water churning like a storm. Mara's hand clamps his throat, fingers like iron, squeezing until his vision blurs, lungs screaming for air. His heart hammers, shame flooding him. He betrayed Mara years ago, left her in that fire, and now Clara's paying for it. "Stop!" Clara screams, swinging a rock she snatched from the bank. It cracks against Mara's temple, blood trickling down her scarred face. Mara staggers, her grip loosening. Elias coughs, rolling away, pain pulsing through his neck. He scrambles to his feet, Colt heavy in his hand, mud-caked but still loaded. They stand in a tense triangle under the silver moon, Mara bleeding, Clara trembling, Elias dripping wet. The deed to the spring floats in the water, ink smearing into uselessness. Mara's black eye locks on Elias, her milky one glinting like a ghost. "You can't outrun this," she says, voice low, like gravel under boots. "Not you, not this town." She limps into the dark, leaving the sack and deed behind. Clara collapses, sobbing, her hands clawing at the dirt. Elias kneels beside her, guilt heavy as a millstone. His betrayal of Mara, his almost sister, adopted by his family before the mayor's raid, burned it all down. Brought this. Clara's pain, the town's danger, it's all his fault. Loneliness bites deep. He's sheriff, but he's got no one. Trust shattered like glass from that night long ago. The spring gurgles, mocking his failure. He helps Clara to her feet, her weight sagging against him. Her breath hitches, eyes raw. "She'll be back," she whispers. "I know," Elias says, voice rough. He retrieves his Colt, wiping mud from the barrel. The locket in his pocket, Mara's, his gift to her as kids, feels heavier than his gun. They limp back to Dust Creek, the night pressing in, shadows shifting at the edges of his vision. He feels eyes watching, maybe Mara's crew, maybe just ghosts of his shame. In the sheriff's office, Clara huddles in a blanket, shivering despite the warm air. Elias paces, boots creaking on the warped floor. The mayor hovers by his desk, pale as a corpse, sweat beading on his brow. "We surrender," he says, voice thin as paper. "Give her the spring, it's just water." "It's everything," Elias snaps, his voice cutting like a whip. Without the spring, Dust Creek's nothing but dust and bones. His silence years ago, when Mara's family burned, haunts him like a shadow he can't shake. Shame twists tighter, a knot in his gut. He was there, a young deputy, frozen while the mayor's posse torched her home. He didn't stop it, didn't even try. Clara looks up, her eyes hollow, bruised cheeks catching the lantern light. What's she want, really? The water? Him, Elias says, meaning himself. Brother. The word Mara spat in the saloon still stings. They weren't blood, but they were family once, before he failed her, before she became this towering vengeance. The mayor shifts, nervous. "Her kin squatted the spring," he mutters, avoiding Elias's eyes. "We did what we had to for the town." "You killed," Elias corrects, his voice low, subtext screaming, "and I stood by, useless." He leans close, his shadow falling over the mayor. "You burned her world. Now she's burning ours." Clara's voice trembles. "Can you stop her?" Elias doesn't answer, his jaw tight. He wants to say yes, to promise safety, but trust is fragile, and he's not sure he deserves hers. Instead, he checks his Colt, the weight familiar but no comfort. The locket presses against his thigh, a reminder of Mara's pain, his betrayal. Dawn breaks, painting the sky pink and cold. Elias steps outside, scanning the ridge above town. A rider watches, silhouette sharp against the horizon, too small for Mara, one of her crew. His gut twists. How many are out there? 5? 10? He slings his rifle over his shoulder, the graze on his arm still burning, a dull throb under the bandage Clara tied. She follows him out, grabbing his sleeve. "Don't go," she pleads, her eyes wide, trust hanging by a thread. "Have to," he says, loneliness stabbing like a cold blade. He mounts his horse, the creak of leather loud in the quiet. The town's still asleep, unaware of the storm brewing. He rides toward the canyon, following the rider's tracks, dust stinging his eyes. The trail veers into a narrow cut, red rock walls rising high, closing in like a trap. The air's too still, like the world's holding its breath. A low chuckle echoes, Mara's voice bouncing off the stone. "Still jumpy, brother?" His heart lurches. He swings the rifle down, scanning the shadows. "Show yourself," he calls, voice steady despite the pulse hammering in his ears. She steps from a crevice, towering, blood crusted on her temple from Clara's rock. Her duster's torn, but her grin's sharp as a razor. "Thought you'd run by now." "Done running," Elias says, finger on the trigger. "I'm sorry," he thinks, but the words stay locked inside, heavy as lead. Mara tilts her head, her black eye boring into him. "You left me to burn. Now you play hero?" Let Clara go, he says, voice hard. This is between us. She smirks, stepping closer, unafraid of the rifle. Clara's bait. You're the prize. Action erupts. A rope snaps tight around his ankles, yanking him off his feet. He hits the ground hard, rifle skidding across the dirt. Two men emerge from the rocks, Mara's crew, bearded and grim, eyes hard as flint. One kicks Elias's ribs, pain explodes, white hot. He grits his teeth, grabs a jagged rock, and smashes it into the man's knee. A howl rips through the canyon. The second man draws a pistol, barrel glinting. Elias lunges, tackling him into the dust. They grapple, dirt choking his throat. The man's stronger, but Elias is faster. He wrests the pistol free, fires, crack! The bullet tears through the man's leg. He drops, clutching the wound, cursing. Elias scrambles up, panting, the stolen pistol aimed at Mara. She claps slowly, mocking, her grin unshaken. Not bad, brother. Call him off, he growls, chest heaving. She shrugs, casual as death. More where they came from. Her voice is a blade cutting through his resolve. Midday, old mine. Bring the mayor or Clara's dead. She vanishes into the rocks, her shadow swallowed by the canyon. Elias stumbles to his horse, pain pulsing through his ribs, his arm. Blood seeps through his sleeve, but he ignores it, mounting up. His mind races. Mara's crew is bigger than he thought. How many? The town's defenseless, just him and a handful of scared deputies, none worth a damn in a real fight. He rides back to Dust Creek, the sun climbing, heat pressing down like a fist. Clara's in the jail, guarded by old Tim the barkeep, his shotgun propped against the wall. She sees Elias, bloodied and limping, and rushes to him. You're hurt, she says, hands hovering over his arm. I'm fine, he lies, wincing as she touches the graze. Her trust cuts deeper than the bullet, a fragile thing he's not sure he can hold. He's alone in this, always has been, since he let Mara's family burn. The mayor's at his desk, pale, sweating through his shirt. We give her what she wants, he says, voice shaking. The spring, the deed, whatever. No, Elias growls, slamming a fist on the desk. Mara wants blood, not paper. She'll burn us all. He checks the locket in his pocket, its weight a tether to the past. Mara's pain mirrors his own. Loss, betrayal, loneliness. But she's chosen vengeance, a path he can't follow. Or can he? The thought twists, a dark thread in his mind. He arms up. More ammo, a knife strapped to his boot. The old mine looms in his thoughts, black as a grave, its mouth waiting to swallow him. Clara's there. He knows it, trapped in Mara's grip. He steps outside, the sun high, air thick with dust. A shadow shifts at the edge of town, another of Mara's men. He squints, but it's gone. Maybe just the wind. Or maybe not. Elias grips his rifle, hard a steady drum. Midday's coming fast, and with it, Mara's reckoning. He glances back at Clara, her eyes on him, trusting, terrified. He wants to promise her safety, but the words stick. Instead, he nods, a silent vow, and heads for the mine, the locket heavy, the canyon's echo still ringing in his ears. Brother. Elias creeps into the mine, the air damp and heavy, his boots echo swallowed by the dark. His rifle's steady in his hands, but his heart's a jackrabbit, pounding wild against his ribs. Mara's got Clara somewhere in this labyrinth, her vengeance a coiled rattler ready to strike. The threat's sharper now. Mara wants Dust Creek broken, Elias's blood on her hands, the spring's water hers again. Shame weighs him down like wet sand. He let Mara's family burn years ago, too scared to act, and now Clara's caught in the web of his failure. Loneliness claws deeper, no one to trust, just him against the dark, the locket in his pocket a cold reminder of who Mara once was to him. A faint whimper echoes through the tunnel. Clara's voice, raw and desperate. He moves faster, lantern flickering on jagged walls, casting shadows that twist like ghosts. Dust chokes his throat, shame heavier than his colt. He's alone, always has been since that fire, since he stood frozen while Mara's screams filled the night. Her calling him brother in the canyon stings worse than the graze on his arm, worse than the bruise blooming on his ribs. A scrape ahead, sharp and sudden. He freezes, lowering the lantern. A figure darts across the tunnel, too small for Mara, one of her crew. Elias lunges, grabs the man's collar, and slams him against the damp rock wall, rifle barrel pressed to his chest. "Where's Clara?" he growls, voice low but hard. The man spits, grinning through crooked teeth. Too late, Sheriff. She's meat. Elias cracks the rifle butt across the man's jaw. Crunch. The man crumples, out cold, blood pooling under his cheek. Elias steps over him, heart racing. The mind splits into two tunnels, black maws waiting. A scream pierces from the left, Clara's high and sharp. He runs, boots slipping on loose gravel, the lantern swinging wild, shadows dancing like demons. The tunnel opens into a cavern, lit by flickering torches jammed into the walls. Clara's tied to a splintered post, wrists raw from ropes, a gag biting into her mouth. Her eyes are wide, pleading, catching the firelight. Mara stands beside her, sharpening a long knife, the blade scraping slow and deliberate. She doesn't look up. Right on time, Elias. Let her go, he says, rifle aimed, finger steady on the trigger. I owe you, his eyes scream, but the words stay locked inside, heavy as guilt. Mara smirks, her scarred face twisting. Mayor didn't come, just you, brother. He's a coward, Elias says, voice tight. This is our fight. Action erupts. Mara throws the knife fast as a snake. Elias ducks. It clangs off the stone behind him, sparks flying. He fires. Crack! But misses, the bullet ricocheting. Mara's already moving, diving behind a stack of rotted crates. Clara screams through the gag, thrashing. Elias charges, tackling Mara as she rises. They crash through the crates, wood splintering, dust blinding. Her fist slams his jaw. Pain explodes, stars bursting in his vision. He kicks her knee hard and rolls free, scrambling for his rifle. They stand, circling, panting like dogs in the heat. Clara struggles, ropes cutting deeper, blood trickling down her wrists. Mara's lip is split, blood dripping, but her grin's unshaken. You're weak, she sneers, voice like a blade. Always were. I'm here, Elias spits, blood in his mouth, jaw throbbing. That's enough, she whistles, sharp and piercing. Footsteps echo, heavy and fast. More men, her crew, closing in. Elias's gut sinks. He's outnumbered, trapped in this tomb of rock. He dives for Clara, pulling his knife from his boot, sawing at her ropes. They snap, and she rips the gag free, gasping, They're everywhere, Elias. Run, he says, shoving her toward the tunnel. A shadow moves, another man, pistol glinting in the torchlight. Elias fires. Crack! The man drops, clutching his chest, blood pooling. Mara charges, her massive frame a blur. She slams into Elias, knocking him to the ground, his rifle skidding across the dirt. Her weight crushes him, air driven from his lungs. Clara grabs the fallen knife, her hands shaking, and stabs at Mara, grazing her arm. Mara roars, backhanding Clara with a crack that echoes. Clara crumples, motionless. Elias's heart lurches. He fires his Colt, the bullet tearing through Mara's leg. She stumbles, blood soaking her trouser, but grabs Clara, dragging her deeper into the mine. Follow or she's dead, Mara snarls, her voice bouncing off the walls. Elias scrambles up, pain pulsing through his jaw, his ribs, his arm. The tunnel narrows, torches dimming, the air thick with damp rot. A trap door creaks ahead. Mara's escape? He dives through, landing hard in a lower chamber, dust choking his throat. Clara's slumped against the wall, unconscious, her chest rising faintly. Mara's gone, her tracks vanishing into a side tunnel, blood smears marking her path. He kneels beside Clara, checking her pulse. Alive, thank God. Her face is pale, a bruise blooming on her cheek. Guilt chokes him. He's alone, always failing those he cares for. Mara's pain, Clara's suffering, Dust Creek's fate, all tied to his betrayal, his cowardice years ago. He lifts Clara, her weight heavy in his arms, and stumbles out of the mine, legs burning, heart racing. Sunlight blinds him as he emerges, the desert air hot and dry. Tracks lead into the distance, Mara's fleeing, wounded but alive, her vengeance unspent. He sets Clara down on the sand, her eyes fluttering open. She's not done, she whispers, voice hoarse, fear raw. I know, Elias says, his voice barely above a whisper. He checks his Colt, only 2 rounds left. The locket in his pocket feels like a stone, tying him to Mara, to the past he can't escape. Back in Dust Creek, the mayor's hiding in his office, door barred, sweat staining his shirt. Elias kicks it open, Clara leaning on his arm. We fight, Elias says, voice hard as iron. No surrender. The mayor shakes his head, eyes wild. She'll kill us all. Then help me, Elias snaps, but he knows it's useless. The mayor's a coward, always was. Elias is alone, always has been. Clara grips his hand, her fingers trembling but firm. I'm with you, she says, trust fragile, but real. It cuts him deeper than Mara's knife. He doesn't deserve it, not after failing her, failing Mara. He reloads his rifle, hands steady despite the pain. A dust cloud rises on the horizon. Mara's crew, riding hard, their shapes dark against the setting sun. How many? 5? 10? He can't tell, but the town's defenseless, just him and a few scared souls. The locket weighs heavy, Mara's pain mirroring his own. Loss, betrayal, loneliness. He stands on the main street, rifle ready, Clara beside him. The dust cloud grows closer, a storm of hoofbeats and death, Mara's shadow at its heart. Elias stands on Dust Creek's main street, rifle cocked, the setting sun painting the sky blood red. A dust cloud churns on the horizon, Mara's crew, 6 riders armed to the teeth, thundering toward town. Mara leads, her towering frame unmistakable, limping but fierce, her duster flapping like a vulture's wings. Blood seeps through her bandages, but her black eye burns with vengeance. The spring's deed is worthless now. She wants Elias's blood, the mayor's head, the town's ruin. Clara clings to his arm, barely standing, her bruised face pale. You can't win, she whispers, voice trembling. I have to, Elias says, loneliness a cold blade in his chest. He betrayed Mara years ago, let her family burn, and now Dust Creek pays the price. He's sheriff, but he's alone, always has been, since that night of fire and screams. The locket in his pocket, Mara's old gift, feels heavier than his rifle. Mara dismounts, boots kicking up dust, her crew fanning out behind her. Last chance, brother, she calls, voice like gravel. Give me the mayor or we burn it all. Elias steps forward, rifle steady. No deal. Action explodes. Mara fires. Bang! The bullet whistling past Elias's ear. He dives, dragging Clara behind a water trough. Bullets splinter wood. Townsfolk scream, diving for cover. Elias returns fire. Crack! Dropping one rider, his body slumping in the saddle. The others scatter, their shots tearing through shop fronts, glass shattering. Elias rolls, firing again. Another man falls, clutching his gut. Mara charges, a human storm, her knife glinting. Elias tackles her, crashing into a fruit stall, apples tumbling. Her blade slashes, grazing his arm. Pain flares, hot and sharp. Clara swings a plank from the broken stall, cracking it across Mara's back. Mara roars, throwing Clara against a wall with a sickening thud. Elias fires. Crack! The bullet rips through Mara's shoulder, blood spraying. She stumbles, grinning through the pain. You can't kill me. He reloads, heart pounding, sweat stinging his eyes. The remaining riders circle, guns blazing. A bullet grazes his leg. He grunts, falling to one knee. Clara, dazed but moving, drags him behind a barrel, her hands shaking but firm. You're hurt, she gasps, tearing her sleeve to bind his wound. Keep moving, he says, voice rough. They crawl to the saloon, bullets chewing the walls. Inside, old Tim the barkeep hands Elias a shotgun, his eyes steady. With you, Sheriff. Elias nods, a flicker of trust sparking, fragile but real. Mara bursts through the saloon doors, massive, bleeding, her knife drawn. Nowhere to run, she snarls. Elias stands, shotgun raised. I'm done running. The final confrontation erupts. Mara lunges, knife slashing. Elias fires, boom. Buckshot tears into her chest. She staggers, swings wildly. He dodges, grabs her arm, twists until the knife drops. Her crew rushes in, guns raised. Elias and Tim fire in unison. Crack, boom. 2 men drop, the third diving for cover. Mara swings a fist. Elias ducks, slamming the shotgun butt into her jaw. She falls, blood pooling, but her black eye still burns. You can't save him, she gasps, coughing blood. Her hand fumbles, grabbing the locket that's fallen from Elias's pocket. Why, didn't you save me? Elias kneels, throat tight, shame choking him. I was scared, he whispers. I failed you. Her fingers tighten on the locket, then go slack, her eyes dimming. Mara the tower is gone. Silence falls, heavy as dust. The last of her crew flees, hoofbeats fading. Clara limps to Elias, tears streaking her face. The saloon's a wreck, tables splintered, whiskey pooling on the floor. Elias stands, empty, the weight of Mara's death heavier than her life. Elias sits on the spring's edge at dawn, the sky streaked pink and gold. Clara's beside him, bandaged, her hand brushing his. Trust, small but growing. Dust Creek buries its dead, the mayor silent, shamed into hiding. Elias holds Mara's locket, its chain broken, her face flickering in his mind. Not the giant, but the girl he called sister. Loneliness lingers, but Clara's presence softens it, a quiet promise. A rider approaches, a stranger, not one of Mara's. "Heard you took down the tower," he says, reining in. "You needin' deputies?" Elias glances at Clara, her eyes steady. "Maybe," he says, pocketing the locket. The spring sparkles, free, its water clear. Dust Creek breathes again, and so does he, just a little.